Hello! Can you hear me? Somebody send me a message just to say that that's going. Yes, you can. Excellent. Okay, I'm Juliet Fraser. I'm the founder and artistic director of Eavesdropping. And it's my very huge pleasure to welcome you all to the symposium, the online symposium. And already I can see from the live chat, which is just going mad, that it does work to do this stuff online. Look at our little community jumping up and down with excitement. It's really lovely. So thank you for joining the weekend, for being part of this adventure as we gather in our different places and consider creative activism, amongst other things, I'm sure. To give a bit of background for those of you that haven't met me or haven't encountered eavesdropping before, I started it in 2017, so this is the second season. And eavesdropping really comes in two parts. There's the series, which currently is a 4-evening series of events, each a double bill, so therefore profiling 8 artists, and it exclusively celebrates female music makers. The diversity of music that they might represent is quite broad and hopefully getting broader. But there is, I suppose, a tilt towards the sort of new music that I enjoy, and also quite a lot of vocalists tend to get featured for reasons I can't possibly understand. The symposium, on the other hand, I suppose, is much more about building community and creating a space for debate. So in the first season, the theme was, somebody help me here, the legacy and future of women in new music. This year, I decided to make it a bit more open, and at the time that I was considering the theme for the symposium, Extinction Rebellion were hard at work, and initially, I anticipated devoting the whole symposium. Oh my goodness, it's the postman. Wait. Hello.
How are you? All right.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you.
Classic. We didn't anticipate that. Where was I? Yes, so I was anticipating the symposium being devoted entirely to the climate crisis. But part of the symposium programme is always given over to presentations that come through a call for papers. And so in the end, I broadened the theme of this season's symposium in order to reflect the variety of topics and issues that were being flagged up in the presentations that came through that call for papers. So that's a bit of background as to eavesdropping, and I suppose the vision behind it. Normally it happens in this beautiful wooden chapel in a community centre called Oxford House in Bethnal Green in East London. I might just, there's a link. You can find some photos there of us doing things in the chapel. It's nice to see, because I'd love you to be able to imagine where we would be if we were gathering in person. It's just, yeah, it's another way, I suppose, of imagining how this might have worked. Right, so we gather this weekend to explore creative activism and perhaps to find out whether there are, in fact, any radical responses within new music. I'm just going to talk you through the programme for the weekend in general. We have 4 sessions, as you know. Session 1 is given over to gender and subjectivities. Session 2, the climate crisis and what I've termed eco-composition, which has been stolen, in fact, from, it's a literacy pedagogical term, but I've appropriated it. And session 3, Sunday morning, diversity practices in programming, and our final session, Sunday afternoon, doing activism. What else did I want to say? Yes, as I think you've gathered, the presentations are going to be accessible through YouTube. and the discussions are going to be happening through Zoom. Now, the whole strategy for sharing the presentations shifted quite dramatically yesterday. I was hoping to live stream everything, but for various reasons, actually, I was going to say because of my technical ineptitude, but that's not completely fair on myself. It turns out that the system that I had been learning couldn't actually do some of the things that I wanted to do, which I thought were very basic, but there you go. So instead, what I've done is uploaded everything up to YouTube, and you have all the links, and currently they're all set at private, so you can't access them. And just a few minutes before each presentation's appointed time in the programme, I will convert it to an unlisted track, so you will be able to access it. This is not just my way of controlling you. This is a way, I hope, of enabling us to walk through the programme together, to journey through these different topics together, and hopefully to come together during the discussions, having kind of lived through something similar, roughly a similar sequence of events. Of course, the advantage of this is that it allows you to go to the loo when you need to without missing anything, because you can press pause or make yourself an extra cup of tea or do whatever you need to do. So hopefully this will work well. Yes, Zoom, a little bit more complicated. I'm sure we've all been using it for small gatherings, but we're going to see how this works as larger gatherings. Just a couple of housekeeping tips about that. Do come with headphones. In fact, I would say use headphones for everything. Probably doesn't matter too much for some of the straight up talks, but for the pieces with sound, with music, with particularly Kathy's gong bath actually, but anything where the quality of the sound really matters, I would say that it's worth using headphones, and do for the Zoom, just to avoid like cascading feedback and all the rest of it. Also, if you're not a panelist, if you're a regular attender, you'll find yourself muted from the beginning. Please don't be offended, but it wouldn't be manageable if we had 40 or 50 or 60 people all with their background noise going on. So that's how that will work. There will be further Zoom information guidelines provided at the beginning of each Zoom session, but we'll feel our way through that. To talk through today's programme, session 1, Gender and Subjectivities, we have two presentations from, one presentation from Julia Eckhart and one presentation from Rory Patterson-Achenbach. It was then planned that we would have a sort of keynote speech from Juliana Yazbek, but sadly she's had to withdraw. So I'm afraid you've got me instead. I've done a short paper called An Identity in Lockdown. However, in my video description, you will find a link to the interview where I discovered Juliana. So you might want to explore that and explore who she is a bit. She sends her apologies. We conclude the first session with a Q&A. The primary panelists for that will be the three of us that have just presented material. So that's an opportunity for the audience to ask us some questions, perhaps for us to ask one another some questions, and that will be moderated by Louise. That's on Zoom. Session 2, the climate crisis and eco-composition. We begin with two presentations, both of which are very sound-based. Does that mean something? Let's go with it. Sound-based, by Emily de Simone and Ifat Ziv. Then we have a sort of keynote presentation from Sarah Nichols. That's the musical activist from her. Then we have the first of our official roundtable discussions, which will be moderated. Oh, it's by me. Excellent. Which will be moderated by me. And our special guests for that roundtable are Sarah Nichols, Kathy Eastburn, and Anea Lockwood. And that's a slight change to the programme that was originally advertised. And it's a real pleasure to be welcoming Anea to that. And Saturday concludes with a gong bath, which has been recorded for us by Kathy. I haven't sent you the link to that yet, but an email will go out later today with the link for that and all the links, all the access codes for tomorrow. I'm going to try and not bombard you with tons of stuff. That's how today is going to work. Sounds pretty exciting. What else do I need to say? YouTube unlocking, I've talked about that. Zoom headphones, I've talked about that. Bear with me. Bear with me. If something goes wrong, I'll try and fix it. Send me an email if you're unhappy. I'll try and make it better. And finally, I just want to read the general principles of eavesdropping, and then we will get going. I see I've got just 4 minutes. Let's keep it snappy. General principles. The main purpose of the Eavesdropping Symposium is to foster community and fruitful debate. The symposium is open to individuals of all gender identities and gender expressions. The theme is intentionally open-ended and potentially sensitive. The idea is to expose the dominant issues, explore common ground, and begin to imagine how we might shape our community for the better. We are therefore all responsible for creating an atmosphere that is supportive and engaged. All contributions that are offered in the spirit of positive engagement are most welcome. And finally, as the ancients knew, good food and drink is crucial to proceedings. I see that you're all armed with tea and crumpets and such. This is excellent. So please cater for yourselves at home with generosity. That's it. There was one other thing that I suddenly wanted to say. Yes, we have a strong contingent from London. I believe we have a strong contingent from Berlin. We have various people from the States dialing in this afternoon, though I imagine they're asleep at the moment. Please shout if you're from another exciting city. Put a little thing on the chat and then I can look back through it later. Right, that's it for me. Thank you for joining. See you later.